The debt dilemmas and stressful spending. Money definitely matters, doesn't it? But small steps, how will they end up making big impacts when it comes to financial fears and fixes? We'll do a deep dive. On the show today, we also bring you the woman, an inspiration, also one of the most influential in the world now, an Indian woman who's giving unclaimed souls their last goodbye. She's breaking rituals, building dignity as well. Pooja Sharma's unstoppable mission and the final act of kindness that she brings in with her service, where she's performed 4,000 rites of all those who have no one to bid them the final goodbye. We sit down with her. And also a check at the pollution meter, which has got some good news for us this morning. The past 2 days have been rather nice, clear skies as well. We bring you the latest on the pollution meter. And talking about the weather, let's bring you one in Kashmir, which is in a chilling grip right now. A frosty fury, as it's being called, of La Nina's icy bite. Snowbound Jammu and Kashmir is preparing for an extensive, aggressive winter. How exactly will this lead to tourism on ground and much more? We'll bring you a ground report. So this morning we tackle a pressing issue that impacts nearly every household in India. It's a very simple financial stress. Now, with rising inflation, mounting debts and an increasing culture of buy now, pay later, financial challenges are no longer limited to those with low incomes. They are cutting across all sections of society. Let's start with some startling numbers to sort of give you a lay of the land over there. Now, according to data by CIBIL and even the SEBI CAS, the number of people and the number of active credit cards in India has surged by 81% between 2019 and 2024, with nearly 10 crore active cards in use today. That's a huge number and a massive spike also compared to last several years. Now, while these cards offer convenience, they also sort of bring in a wave of financial instability, if you want to call it that, really. Outstanding credit card loans in India reached a staggering 2 lakh crore in March of 2023, and the credit card default rate also rose from 1.6 to 1.8% by June of 2024. Now, this debt isn't just a number. It's a growing burden on the youth of the country. Young Indians aged between 18 to 23, 25 there now make up for 5.8% of credit card users, while those aged between 26 to 35 hold a massive 35.8% share. It's clear that our spending habits, coupled with easy access to credit, are leading many into what some would call a death trap. And let's not forget the corporate side of this equation as well. For instance, SBI reported a net credit loss of 75% in the first quarter of 2024, underscoring how financial instability is a systemic issue affecting individuals and even institutions. But financial stress isn't just about money, right? It's often about the toll it takes on our health, on relationships, on overall well-being as well. Now, could increasing reliance on credit and loans fuel a culture of spending beyond our means? Is that something that's staring us in the face? With platforms like buy now, pay later, normalizing unnecessary purchases sometimes, is that what it will actually lead to? E-commerce companies actively target young consumers, remember, with this model, enticing them to splurge on things they don't necessarily need, just might want. So, is the problem truly a lack of money, or is it the way we manage our finances? But here's the good news. If all of that data threw you off gear a little bit and brought in a bit of a reality check, the good news here is that financial stress isn't insurmountable. small, consistent steps can help us regain control over our money and our mental health. So here, to help us deep dive into this topic and provide us with some practical insights, we have with us today Abhishek Agarwal. He's an Assistant General Manager at the Securities Exchange Board of India. He brings us and his expertise in financial management as well, investment strategies and also the regulatory oversight over this. Good morning, Abhishek. So good to have you. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Sonal. Good, going good.
Okay, right in the morning when people are talking about meetings, etc., we've said, okay, let's get a grip on our finances. It is the holiday season, it is the year, it is the time when a lot of shopping also happens, sales are on. So this is a good time to discuss how to actually get a grip on your wallets. But can I start by asking you this? This generation that we are looking into and the TG that we've identified, so to say, the target group between 18 to say 25, 30, which is seeing a lot of credit that they are taking right now, they don't necessarily see credit as a bad thing. They see it as a tool. Is that a problem in itself, or do you think it's a more nuanced answer?
So it's a fine line you have to draw. If let's say if you're earning, and because if you go for this generation, their earnings are quite good when compared to earlier generation. So they can probably afford to take these kind of credits, and many times these credits are used smartly as well. So you have to draw a line, and you don't have to cross that. If you are getting to a social pressure, peer pressure, and buying things to show people, and getting into a kind of debt trap, then it's a problem. Otherwise, it's okay.
It's okay is what you're saying. So how does one look at it when you look at numbers that we just pointed out for our viewers as well?
Yeah.
That SBI has reported a net credit loss of 75% in the first quarter of 2024. It also sort of underscores what kind of financial sort of stability, instability we are actually looking at. That as spending habits, is that good or bad for young individuals?
See, again, I'm saying that if you have income, if you can justify that expenditure, it's good. If you can't justify, and if you are going into any pressure kind of expending, then it's going to take a toll on your everything. Like it will create financial stress. There would be a psychological issues. There will be a credit issues in terms of future repayment. You will get into a debt trap.
I see. Help me understand this. A lot of people watching right now will say that what was a want versus what is a need, which is what leads people to take loans, to take these quick credits and pick up a phone on EMI, or pick up a bag on EMI, or take a holiday on EMI. What was the difference between wants of young individual versus needs have changed over the generations? So what is your advice to young people watching right now on how do they look at this?
So firstly, if you are making any expenditure, you have to kind of partition, or you have to divide into three parts. One is your needs, as you rightly said. The second is want, and third is luxury. Okay, and it's a very safe line that you should not cross, let's say, 40-50% of your income towards such kind of expenditures. Okay, if you are a young generation, you can afford to spend because you may not have a liability as such in current scenario, but you have to kind of educate yourself. See, it's like in today's world, we have been given a gun. Let's say I'm just taking an example, and you have not been educated how to use it. So everyone is using in their own fashion. Somebody is using to protect himself, somebody is using to shoot someone, or someone is using to threaten someone. So it's about how you are going to educate yourself. It's a tool, and you have to use it as a proper tool. If you use it in the right manner, then it will work wonder for you. If you will use in a very messy manner, then it will create a mess. It will bring mess out of everything. So you need to understand these things. You have to separate between needs. Needs you can take care of using credit cards. You can use smart spending, because a lot of gadgets, we are being overtaken by gadgets and in today's world. So, and all those gadgets are financed through these credit cards and debts. Okay, and it is somewhere fueling the economy, but you have to understand whether it's a need, you have to put it in want, or you want to put it in luxury. And if it is luxury, can you afford that luxury on a sustainable manner?
I see.
So somebody has rightly said to me that Abhishek, people go and buy iPhones. Okay, you can buy iPhone, but can you buy second iPhone? If you can afford to buy second iPhone as on today, then you deserve to buy an iPhone. So, see, sometime because you have spent 20, 30, 25 years learning things, educating yourself. So, you need some kind of rejuvenation, you need some kind of motivation to keep going, but it should not cross some line which you have to draw for yourself, and that line is different for everyone. Every strata of income person has a different line. I can't give
I see.
particular number.
I think let me ask you specifically on this so-called line or Lakshman Rekha, as you saying that one must
Yeah.
draw on expenditure. How does one take that call? For young people, like I said, getting a phone is as important as ordering
Uh,
food on apps, or indulging in recreational activities over the weekend, or taking holidays, etc. How does one draw that line, and where should it ideally be drawn?
See, when it comes to, let's say, if it comes to your gadget spending, so it should not be like 4-5% of your income. Let's say you are doing a big investment. Let's say you're buying a camera. Okay, you should spend that money and but try to create income out of that. If you are spending that money just to show people showbazi karna hai, then it has of no use. And let's say if you are spending on Zomato daily, then it is going to take toll on your health, and it will definitely get you into a debt trap, because eventually it will downgrade your health.
Yeah, I like what you said on invest in something that will actually end up giving you returns,
Yeah.
not just satisfaction. I think that's an interesting way to put it. I also
So
want to
yeah,
understand. Yeah,
just
go
one
ahead.
thing. So if
Yeah.
you're going on a vacation also, so it should be like to rejuvenate yourself. It should not be like just on Insta reel you want to promote and all those stuff. And if it is revenue generating for you, better better do it, because it's good for your pocket. But it should not be like that. Your peer is going, or your some neighbor is going, and you're planning a Europe trip, but you can't afford it.
Okay, okay. Can you also talk to us a little bit about what are the kind of regulatory measures in place to protect consumers from these sort of debt traps, and that could lead to financial stress?
So RBI has brought, matlab, RBI is the main regulator of these credit things, and they do come up with a lot of regulations as they see there is a requirement. Okay, there all gadgets or all credit cards or all financing, EMI financing was promoted at zero rate of interest. Okay, so RBI took action on that, and now you can't promote like 0% rate of interest, because it was a hidden cost. Okay, so let's say I don't personally use credit card because I'm Baniya Marwadi Agrawal, so I know what goes behind. So if you go and ask if if you can give me a discount of 15-20% or something like that, let's say 10%, if you can probably ask or compare the cost between taking on credit card and without credit card, you will see that there is a difference of 10% at least. So instead of getting into an instant fulfillment of your gratification instantly, you can probably delay it, plan it, and spend it after 6 months. And many times you will feel that probably after 6 months you don't need that. You
So,
may rent it out. You may rent it out.
okay. Can you also talk to us about some of the consequences of defaulting on credit card, and some of these loans and short-term quick loans that people take online?
So, shortcomings in terms of it will, if you are getting into a debt trap, then it might hamper your CIBIL. Okay, and you will not be eligible for loans in future, or you may get a very higher rate. And if it is towards housing loan or personal loan, Many private banks use goons to recover those money. And that is a fact of life. You can't run out of it. Uh, it will lead further because it's a vicious cycle. If you get into a debt trap, it leads to your financial stress, health issues, social issues. You will get into social isolation. I don't know from where that person has taken a loan. Okay. Many times those loans are taken for a good things but end up in a mess. So I can't comment that loan is bad. I will never comment loan is bad, but it has to be used prudently. And RBI is trying, and every education, if an influencer, many influencer are trying to educate people on financial literacy, and that's the only thing you can educate yourself and come out of that. There is no other way. Yeah. Everyone is trying to, as you rightly started with, that everyone is trying to sell you something. So you have to live a ad-free life.
Ad-free life. I was gonna think that you're gonna say debt-free life, but I don't know if that exists anymore, and that's even possible in today's day and age. But you're right about emphasizing on the need of a loan, a need of an instant credit. Second, putting a line on a line that you do not cross. And third, very importantly, knowing the source, because a lot of time that can lead to other kinds of troubles altogether, which could, which could really be detrimental later. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, please go ahead.
Just one point I want to add. See, you have to just not see that current income, because current income might compensate your current expenses. You have to see that how sustainable that income is. Many times people take loan based on current income. Probably that income may not be tomorrow. So there is actually debt trap. वहीं पे सबसे ज़्यादा होता है.
Right.
So that has to be addressed properly by a person who is handling finances. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining us with all those details.
Thank you.
All right, having understood all that you need to know about financial stress, let's take you through some stories from India and across the globe. Let's start with Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, who has informed the Lok Sabha in a written reply that March 31, 2024, 99,809 women employees were working in the Indian Railways, including over 2,000 loco pilots. Vaishnav said that direct recruitment to various posts in the Indian Railways is done as per laid down procedure, and irrespective of gender, all the candidates fulfilling the prescribed eligibility criteria are eligible for recruitment. Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that a total subsidy of 56,993 crores is given every year by the Indian Railways to all the categories of passengers, with a 46% rebate on every ticket. Replying to multiple questions in the Lok Sabha on restoring discounts given to various categories of train passengers, he said if the price of the ticket is 100 rupees, then the Railways charges are just 54 for it, and the discount is of 46%. Let's talk about the Indian Constitution as an aesthetic document. The art of Constitution of India is a tribute to the socio-cultural, mythological, spiritual, regional and physical landscape and influences. Each part of the Constitution begins with an illustration and pages that distinct border design. All the illustrations are listed on the last page of the Constitution. They can be categorized under 12 heads: the Mohenjo-daro period, the Vedic period, the epic period, the time of Mahajanapadas and the Nandas, the Mauryan period, the Gupta period, the medieval period, the Muslim, the British, the freedom movement and the revolutionary movement of freedom, and India's natural features. Parliament was informed that nearly 30.4 crore unorganized workers have registered on e-Shram portal on the 1st of December 2024. Minister of Labour and Employment launched the portal in August of 2021 for creation of a comprehensive national database of unorganized workers seeded with Aadhaar. The portal is meant to register and support unorganized workers by providing them a universal account number and a self-declaration basis. Ministry of Labour and Employment noted that as per the data available in the latest annual periodic labour force survey reports, the estimated worker population ratio indicated employment during the last 7 years, including COVID period, has increased from 46.8% in 2017-18 to 58.2% in 23-24. During the same period, unemployment rate on the usual state of persons in the age of 15 years and above have decreased from 6% to 3.2%. The 90-year-old Aircraft Act 1934 is now history, with the contemporary Bharatiya Vayuyan Vedik 2024 being passed by the Rajya Sabha after the Lok Sabha had cleared it in August. The BBV 2204 aims to improve the ease of doing business in the aviation sector. The 1934 era Act has been amended 21 times. The electric vehicle market in India has witnessed an unprecedented surge thanks to the PM Electric Drive Revolution in Innovative Vehicle Enhancement Scheme, which took effect on October 1st, 2024 and will remain active till 31st of March 2026. According to a post by PIB India on X, the initiative aims to accelerate EV adoption, develop robust charging infrastructure and establish a strong domestic EV manufacturing ecosystem. The Food Ministry launched the Anna Chakra, a tool for optimizing the supply chain of food grains under the PDS across states, which is estimated to save around 250 crore per year in the annual cost of transporting free wheat and rice for 80 crore poor people. Citing the implementation of a pilot project across 30 states and UTs, the government claimed that the route optimization from FCI godowns to ration shops reduced the distance by 15 to 50%. The system leverages advantages algorithms to optimize food grain movement across the country's logistic network. India's stock market is emerging as a safe haven amid the economic turmoil in emerging markets across the Geoff Dennis, an independent EM commentator. This development comes as South Korea's market continues to struggle with a 19% decline in dollar terms within the EM index this year. According to news reports citing RTI response from various ministries, the central government's production-linked incentive schemes that created a total of 5.84 lakh direct jobs till June 2024, which is about 36% of the total 16.2 lakh direct jobs targeted to be created over the next 5 years or so across 14 sectors. The Russian President Vladimir Putin praised Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India policy, saying that it creates stable conditions for key Russian investments. This development comes as Putin is expected to visit India in early January 2025, following Prime Minister Modi's invitation. Apple achieved a record iPhone shipments in India, crossing $10.7 billion in value. This surpasses sales of Hindustan Unilever and Nestle combined. It widened its lead over Samsung in the Indian smartphone market. The company shipped over 4 million iPhones in the last quarter. All right, with that, we're going to slip into a quick break. Coming up on the other side, we take you to Kashmir, where a frosty fury is on its way, it seems, with La Nina's icy bite. A chilling grip that seems to have taken over the Kashmir Valley. What's really happening? Details in a moment from now.
खुद को पैम्पर
Yeah, that's right. Israeli troops have been going into the Syrian buffer zone on the other side of this border fence right here. This is the line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and Syrian territory. There is a buffer zone of about 2 kilometers where Israeli troops have not been positioned for more than 50 years. But now Israeli troops are inside that buffer zone, and we're also told, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry, that Israeli troops have also captured positions beyond that buffer zone as well in Syrian-held territory. You can see my cameraman John is now zooming in on a building here where moments ago we just saw some Israeli troops who were positioned inside that buffer zone. And then if he whips back around over here, this gate that is over here is where we have seen Israeli military vehicles have gone back and forth throughout the day. Yesterday was the first day that Israeli troops began going into this buffer zone after the Israeli Prime Minister said Syrian troops left their position on the other side of that buffer zone. According to the Prime Minister, that meant the collapse of the 1974 agreement between Israel and Syria that has held for more than 50 years, and he then sent Israeli troops to go and take over those positions, effectively positioning Israeli troops between the communities here in the Golan Heights and those newly victorious Syrian rebels. So as you can see, this gate is open at the moment, and we expect that Israeli troops will continue to go inside and outside of that area. Now, in addition to what we're seeing here in this buffer zone, we also know that the Israeli military has been conducting airstrikes inside of Syria. We have been hearing and seeing those jets overhead throughout the morning. And we know that the Israeli military said they are going after strategic weapons of the Syrian armed forces, going after ballistic missiles, air defense systems that were previously held by the Syrian regime. So a lot of military action is taking place here as a result of the fall of the Assad regime yesterday, which stunned the region at large, of course. And of course, in this community as well of Majd al-Shams, where we are now, we also know that there are people who have family on both sides of the border. The people in this area consider themselves to be Syrians of the Syrian Druze community, and many families here are separated by this 1974 demarcation line, with families on both sides of that border. Yeah, that's right. Israeli troops have been going into the Syrian buffer zone on the other side of this border fence right here. This is the line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and Syrian territory. There is a buffer zone of about 2 kilometers where Israeli troops have not been positioned for more than 50 years. But now Israeli troops are inside that buffer zone, and we're also told, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry, that Israeli troops have also captured positions beyond that buffer zone as well in Syrian-held territory. You can see my cameraman John is now zooming in on a building here where moments ago we just saw some Israeli troops who were positioned inside that buffer zone. And then if he whips back around over here, this gate that is over here is where we have seen Israeli military vehicles have gone back and forth throughout the day. Yesterday was the first day that Israeli troops began going into this buffer zone after the Israeli Prime Minister said Syrian troops left their position on the other side of that buffer zone. According to the Prime Minister, that meant the collapse of the 1974 agreement between Israel and Syria that has held for more than 50 years, and he then sent Israeli troops to go and take over those positions, effectively positioning Israeli troops between the communities here in the Golan Heights and those newly victorious Syrian rebels. So as you can see, this gate is open at the moment, and we expect that Israeli troops will continue to go inside and outside of that area. Now, in addition to what we're
Welcome back, and it's time to take a quick check at the pollution meter, and we've got some good news. In fact, the past couple of days have been relatively better and not so bad here in Delhi NCR. In fact, not just Delhi NCR, across the northern belt as well. So let's take a quick check at the number. The current AQI in Delhi stands at 250, not bad at all, one would say. You'll see the massive currents and how the wind is blowing. That's contributing to a lot of clearing up of smog that has actually happened across the north northern belt. The southwestern winds that are going on means that a lot of this smog is not staying in one place, and that's adding to clearing up of the weather as well. You see a lot of the areas, the oranges have gone into yellow and the reds have gone into orange as well. Let's take a look at specific areas across National Capital Region, and here again you see a lot more sort of yellow category popping up more and more. Ghaziabad continues to be 127. Across, I see a lot of 150, sub 150 numbers emerging. Let's look at this one. This is Vasundhara in Ghaziabad, again at standing at 151, Indrapuram at 157. You have other places, let's check, 158 again, Noida 62 is over here. If you zoom in a little bit, here again, I seem to be getting all Noida numbers. Let's try this one. Sonia Vihar at 194, which is unhealthy, but at least not in the very unhealthy category. Number 4 category, this is. Again, let's look at moderate air quality, which is a smile finally coming in to some of the AQIs in the Delhi NCR region. This is in Faridabad. Another one, a smile coming in over there in Greater Noida as well. If you look at Delhi internally, if Major Dhyan Chand Singh Stadium is very unhealthy, about 184 it's saying at the moment. So overall the numbers sort of paint a picture which tell you that because of the winds, there has been some clearing up here in the National Capital Region across the northern belt as well. Also, temperatures set to be lowering. It will go down to touch almost 6 degrees for the first time this year. We're almost in this, we're in the second week of December now. So that's a good thing. But also remember GRAP guidelines. Those have been relaxed as of last weekend. That means GRAP 2 is in place. So overall, it's looking good. Let's watch out this space with caution and see how it acts up for the rest of the winter season. All right, with that, talking about the weather, there's so much that needs to be said about what's happening in Jammu and Kashmir over there. And in the Kashmir Valley, picture is quite different. We're talking about 6 degrees here in National Capital Region. Think about what's happening in Kashmir, because this winter, Kashmir is prepping up for what could be one of the harshest seasons in the recent history, thanks to the La Nina effect. Now, what does this mean for people and for the region? Whether it's the bone-chilling cold or the blanket of snow, the valley is set to experience a season unlike any other this time around. And here's a special report by Ishan Vani to take you through what exactly is expected.
As the icy breath of winter descends on Kashmir, a harsher season looms on the horizon. This year, the chilling whispers of La Nina are louder than ever, promising heavy snowfall, biting cold, and a prolonged winter spell. The valley is already cloaked in white, and the mercury has plummeted.
There will be a La Nino effect, and last year there was El Nino effect, which meant that the temperatures were a little above the normal, but this year they are going to dip and dip further, which means the La Nino effect will prevail, and it's already showing signs on the Pacific Ocean, and IMD is already predicting a cooler winter in Kashmir this year.
The higher reaches of the Kashmir Valley are already in the grip of winter's icy embrace. Gulmarg to Gurez, Sonmarg to Pahalgam, the first snowfall of the season has transformed these locations into snowy wonderlands. But beneath this picturesque beauty lies a chilling reality. The Met Department warns that the La Nina phenomenon will bring intense cold spells and above-average precipitation this season.
We have experience of last La Nina years during last 40-50 years, and during majority of the cases of La Nina years, we have experienced a little bit harsher winter in terms of precipitation as well as temperature. So this year also, but it doesn't necessarily mean that whenever we have La Nina years, there will be always harsh winter. But the reality is, winter itself is always harsh here, because temperatures are plunging to freezing temperatures across the stations. if we compare plains as well as hills.
As the valley prepares for the coldest days, locals are wasting no time. Markets are buzzing with shoppers stocking up on essentials, woolens, kangris and firewood to combat the biting cold. Meanwhile, in Gulmarg, excitement is mounting as fresh snowfall has set the stage for skiing and snowboarding activities. But amid the chill, there is a silver lining. Tourism in Kashmir is expected to flourish this season. Gulmarg, a favourite winter destination, is gearing up to welcome an influx of tourists eager to experience its snowy slopes and frosty allure. The valley may freeze, but its heart beats warm with the promise of beauty and adventure.
Everyone in Kashmir is now bracing for the impact of cold weather, which is already showing its sign, and slowly the Dal Lake and other water bodies will start freezing and snow will start to set in, particularly in the Himalayan mountain passes, and famous tourist resorts were expected to have a full winter tourism season, particularly in Gulmarg, Pahalgam and those areas where it snows, and is expected to be heavy snowfall, so skiing, snowboarding is not a way. But for people like us, we have to prepare for the long winter and getting in and buying some traditional food items, some traditional heating appliances including kangri, including wearing of long robe called feran and other traditional appliances in case of there are long electricity cuts during the winter time.
As the valley braces for the La Nina winter, the resilience of Kashmir shines through. Against all odds, its people endure, adapt and even celebrate the season of snow. A winter of challenges awaits, but so does the promise of unforgettable beauty.
All right, so that's what's happening in Kashmir. But what's happening here in the studio? Well, we are going to take a quick break, and joining us on the other side is our inspiration of the day. Pooja हमारे साथ है. Pooja Sharma, BBC की India's most influential और inspiring जो women हैं उनकी कैटेगरी में थी. ऐसा क्या करती हैं और आपकी मॉर्निंग को वो कैसे इंस्पायर करने वाली हैं, वो देखेंगे क्विक ब्रेक के बाद.
Yeah, that's right. Israeli troops have been going into the Syrian buffer zone on the other side of this border fence right here. This is the line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and Syrian territory. There is a buffer zone of about 2 kilometers where Israeli troops have not been positioned for more than 50 years. But now Israeli troops are inside that buffer zone, and we're also told, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry, that Israeli troops have also captured positions beyond that buffer zone as well in Syrian-held territory. You can see my cameraman John is now zooming in on a building here where moments ago we just saw some Israeli troops who were positioned inside that buffer zone. And then if he whips back around over here, this gate that is over here is where we have seen Israeli military vehicles have gone back and forth throughout the day. Yesterday was the first day that Israeli troops began going into this buffer zone after the Israeli Prime Minister said Syrian troops left their position on the other side of that buffer zone. According to the Prime Minister, that meant the collapse of the 1974 agreement between Israel and Syria that has held for more than 50 years, and he then sent Israeli troops to go and take over those positions, effectively positioning Israeli troops between the communities here in the Golan Heights and those newly victorious Syrian rebels. So as you can see, this gate is open at the moment, and we expect that Israeli troops will continue to go inside and outside of that area. Now, in addition to what we're seeing here in this buffer zone, we also know that the Israeli military has been conducting airstrikes inside of Syria. We have been hearing and seeing those jets overhead throughout the morning, and we know that the Israeli military said they are going after strategic weapons of the Syrian armed forces, going after ballistic missiles, air defense systems, that were previously held by the Syrian regime. So a lot of military action is taking place here as a result of the fall of the Assad regime yesterday, which stunned the region at large, of course. And of course, in this community as well of Majd al-Shams, where we are now, we also know that there are people who have family on both sides of the border. The people in this area consider themselves to be Syrians of the Syrian Druze community, and many families here are separated by this 1974 demarcation line, with families on both sides of that border. Yeah, that's right. Israeli troops have been going into the Syrian buffer zone on the other side of this border fence right here. This is the line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and Syrian territory. There is a buffer zone of about 2 kilometers where Israeli troops have not been positioned for more than 50 years. But now Israeli troops are inside that buffer zone, and we're also told, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry, that Israeli troops have also captured positions beyond that buffer zone as well in Syrian-held territory. You can see my cameraman John is now zooming in on a building here where moments ago we just saw some Israeli troops who were positioned inside that buffer zone. And then if he whips back around over here,
Welcome back. It's time to take you through our person of interest, our inspiration this morning. Stepping into one of society's most taboo roles and transforming it into a mission of compassion. That's what our next guest, Pooja Sharma, has done. At just 28, she has performed over 4,000 last rites of unclaimed bodies in Delhi, breaking centuries-old gender norms in the process. Recognized now by the BBC as one of the 100 most inspiring women of 2024, Pooja joins the ranks of icons like astronaut Sunita Williams, the Olympic champion Allyson Felix as well. But her journey is as moving as it is extraordinary. After witnessing her brother's tragic death, Pooja took on the rituals that others refused to perform, a moment that changed her life forever. She went on to establish what is now called the Bright the Soul Foundation, an NGO dedicated to the welfare of marginalized communities, environmental care, and child education. Her work reminds us that dignity in life and in death is a basic right. And she's here with us to share her remarkable story. Pooja, thank you हमारे स्टूडियो सुबह आने के लिए, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए।
जी मैम।
पूजा, सबसे पहले तो जो लोग आपकी पूरी जो जर्नी रही है जिसके बारे में नहीं जानते हैं, उनके लिए मैं जानना चाहती हूँ, आप चाहती हूँ कि आप बताएं उनको कि कैसे शुरू करा आपने लास्ट राइट्स परफॉर्म करना।
मैम सच बताऊँ तो ये सेवा एक ऐसी हारी हुई बहन ने करी थी जो अपने भाई को नहीं बचा पाई, जिसकी आंखों के सामने एक छोटे से झगड़े में दिल्ली में ही मेरी आंखों के सामने मेरे भाई को गोली मार दी गई और किसी ने मेरी मदद नहीं करी। जब मैं अपने भाई के दोस्त की मदद से उसको हॉस्पिटल लेके गई तो वहाँ डॉक्टरों ने उसको मृत घोषित कर दिया। 2019 में मैं अपनी मम्मी को खो चुकी थी ब्रेन हेमरेज के कारण। उस वक्त इतनी हिम्मत नहीं बची थी कि मैं अपनी 90 साल की बूढ़ी दादी या अपने पिता को किस मुंह से बताऊंगी कि मैं भाई को खो चुकी हूँ, तुम अपने घर के चिराग को खो चुके हो। मैंने अपने पिता को इस बारे में नहीं बताया मैम, क्योंकि भाई की हत्या एरिया में हुई थी जहाँ हम रहते थे। लोगों द्वारा जब मेरे पिता को इस बात का पता चला तो वो सदमा बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पाए, वो कोमा में चले गए थे। मुझे आज भी वो वक्त याद है कि जब मेरे भाई का शव मेरे घर आया तो उसका अंतिम संस्कार करने के लिए कोई मर्द नहीं था। मैंने अपने सर पे पगड़ी बांधकर अपने भाई का अंतिम संस्कार किया था। 2 दिन से रोई नहीं थी। भाई की अस्थियों को लेने के लिए जब शमशान गई तो सामने देखती हूँ शिवलिंग बनी हुई है, शिव का मंदिर है। फिर क्या था, शिवलिंग को पकड़ के मैम मैं जोर जोर से रोने लगी और शिकायतें करने लगी कि बाबा मेरे परिवार का ऐसा क्या गुनाह था, आपने मेरी मम्मी को छीन लिया, मेरे भाई को छीन लिया। मुझे नहीं पता कि मैं अपने पिता को दोबारा इस दुनिया में देख पाऊंगी या नहीं। क्यों? मुझे सच बताऊं तो आज भी नहीं पता मुझे उस वक्त क्या हुआ था। मैं वहाँ से उठी और मेरे भाई की जो चिता थी मैं वहाँ चली गई। और उसकी जो राख थी उसको अपने चेहरे पे, अपने तन पे लगाने लगी। ये देखते हुए वहाँ पे शमशान पे जो पंडित जी थे उन्होंने मेरी वीडियो बना ली कि मतलब ये लड़की क्या कर रही है। कभी ऐसा वाक्य नहीं देखा कि एक जिंदा इंसान और एक मृत व्यक्ति की राख को अपने तन से लगा रहा है। लेकिन उस वक्त मैं एक प्रण ले रही थी मैम। वो प्रण ये था कि आज के बाद पूजा शर्मा जहाँ भी जाएगी, जहाँ तक पहुँच पाएगी, वहाँ कोई शव लवारिस नहीं रहेगा। क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं दिल और दिमाग पर एक बात गहरा असर कर गई थी कि अगर भाई की हत्या एरिया में नहीं हुई होती तो शायद मेरे भाई को लावारिस में जला देते।
पूजा, आपने अपना जो आपके भाई के साथ हुआ, कोई उनकी लास्ट राइट्स परफॉर्म करने के लिए नहीं था, अब आप 4000 लोगों की लास्ट राइट्स परफॉर्म करती हैं। क्यों करती हैं ऐसा? और मैं जानना चाहती हूँ कि इसका पर्सनल इम्पैक्ट आपकी लाइफ पर नहीं पड़ता है?
बिल्कुल भी नहीं मैम। सच बताऊँ तो जितना सुकून आज मुझे है शायद ज़िंदगी में कभी नहीं होता। मैं जब वो लवारिस शव देखती हूँ ना, मैं हर उस शव में अपनी माँ और अपने भाई को देखती हूँ कि कभी मैंने अपने भाई को खोया था। ये भी तो किसी के अपने होंगे, किसी का पिता होंगे, किसी के भाई होंगे, किसी के पति होंगे। पता नहीं इनकी ज़िंदगी की क्या दर्द भरी कहानी है कि आज ये अपने आखिरी वक्त पर अकेले हैं। तो मुझे तो मैम बहुत सुकून है। शायद ज़िंदगी में मैं किसी भी मुकाम पर पहुँचती तो ये सुकून नहीं मिलता। मैं सच बताऊं तो मैंने BSW एंड MSW किया हुआ है और HIV/AIDS पे मेरा डिप्लोमा कोर्स रहा है। जिस वक्त मेरा भाई मुझे छोड़ के गया, मैं LLB सेकेंड ईयर कर रही थी और मेरा सपना जज बनने का था।
क्या बात,
मैं जज बनना चाहती थी। लेकिन शायद ये सुकून मुझे जज बनने के बाद नहीं मिलता जो आज मिलता है। मुझे बहुत सुकून है मैम कि मैं कम से कम उन लोगों के लिए कुछ कर रही हूँ जिसका इस दुनिया में कोई नहीं है, या किसी भी कारण से उनके परिवार का पता नहीं लग पाया है।
जी, तो आप जो करती हैं और आप ये ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चला रही हैं, इसमें क्या लोग आके हेल्प कर सकते हैं या करते हैं? अब आपका नाम BBC की इतनी बड़ी लिस्ट में आ गया है, पूरे देश में बात हो रही है कि भाई ये पूजा शर्मा कौन है, सोशल मीडिया पे आपके वीडियोस वायरल हो गए, तो इसके बाद क्या कुछ बदला है, हेल्प आना शुरू हुई है?
अभी तो मैम उस तरीके से मदद नहीं मिलनी शुरू हुई है, लेकिन शायद आपके चैनल के माध्यम से अब यहाँ बैठे हैं तो लोगों तक चीज़ें पहुँचनी शुरू हो। लेकिन मुझे नहीं लगता कि इस सेवा में बहुत ज़्यादा लोग आना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि कोई सुबह उठ के मोर्चरी और शमशानों का चेहरा देखना चाहेगा मैम, या कौन उन लाशों को जो कि महीनों से मोर्चरी या शमशानों हॉस्पिटल्स में पड़ी रहती हैं, अपनी बारी का इंतज़ार कर रही होती है कि हमारा भी कोई अंतिम संस्कार करेगा। तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि समाज उस तरफ उतना सोचेगा। लेकिन कहते हैं ना कि जब हम किसी दर्द से गुजरते हैं तभी किसी का दर्द समझ सकते हैं। तो मैं उस दर्द से गुजरी हूँ। मैंने अपना भाई, अपनी माँ खोई है। तो मेरे लिए तो मैं सच बताऊँ तो इतना सुकून मुझे रहता है इस सेवा में कि मैं सोते उठते भोलेनाथ को जो है मतलब उनका एहसान कभी नहीं भूल सकती कि आपने बहुत बड़ी सेवा दे दी बाबा।
पर पूजा, जो लोग आपकी इस जर्नी को देख रहे हैं वो तो ये भी पूछेंगे कि आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ पे इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता है? आप खुद आगे कैसे क्या करेंगी? क्या आपके दोस्त हैं साथ में, लाइफ में आगे एम्बिशंस हैं, फिर से जज बनने का सपना अभी भी है?
मैम मेरा 7 साल का रिश्ता था, मेरी सगाई पक्की हो गई थी, मेरी शादी होने वाली थी। जब मैं सेवा में आई तो उन लोगों ने मेरे ऊपर ऑब्जेक्शन उठाए कि हम अपने गांव में लोगों को क्या जवाब देंगे कि जिससे मेरी शादी होने वाली है वो तो शमशानों में भटक रही है, मोर्चरियों में घूम रही है। तो उन्होंने मेरे से मतलब रिश्ता तोड़ दिया था, ये ऑप्शन रख के कि शादी या सेवा एक चीज़ चुननी पड़ेगी। तो मैंने अपनी सेवा को चुना और शादी तोड़ दी। और मेरे बचपन के दोस्त आज मुझसे बातें नहीं करते हैं। मेरी सहेलियाँ वो बोलती हैं कि मम्मी पापा ने बोला है कि अगर पूजा से बात करोगे तो तुम्हें भूत चिपट जाएंगे, आत्माएं चिपट जाएंगी, उसके साथ तो आत्माएं चलती हैं जब वो चलती है। तो इस तरीके के वाक्य, मेरे रिश्तेदार मुझसे ज़्यादा बातें नहीं करते, हमारे घर कोई आता जाता नहीं, बट
और फिर भी आप यही कर रही हैं।
सुकून है मैम। जिसको भोलेनाथ मिल गए उसको ज़िंदगी में क्या चाहिए? मेरे दोस्त हैं ना भोलेनाथ, मेरे दोस्त, मेरे पिता, मेरी माँ, मेरा भाई। मैं राखी पे भोलेनाथ को राखी बांधती हूँ। मेरे को जो भी सुख दुख है, मुझे कोई भी चीज़ चाहिए, आप यकीन कीजिए कि पैसों की वजह से सिर्फ पिछले 3 सालों से कभी ये सेवा नहीं रुकी। मुझे मार्च में 3 साल हो जाएंगे इस सेवा को करते हुए। ये सेवा सिर्फ पैसों की वजह से कभी नहीं रुकी। जिस चीज़ की ज़रूरत है शमशान में भोलेनाथ को बोल देती हूँ और विदिन 1 आवर वो चीज़ें अपने आप आनी शुरू हो जाती है। कहाँ से आएंगी, कैसे आएंगी, मुझे आज तक नहीं पता, लेकिन बस हो जाता है।
फेथ एंड बिलीफ कैन रियली मेक यू डू वंडर्स। पूजा, हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए, हमसे अपनी पूरी कहानी बताने के लिए और आप जो कर रही हैं उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जाते जाते हमारे व्यूअर्स को प्लीज़ ये बताएं कि अगर इस समय लोग सुन रहे हैं आपकी बात और वो अगर किसी तरह से आपकी हेल्प करना चाहते हैं तो कैसे कर सकते हैं? क्या आपको मॉनेटरी आपको लगता है आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को हेल्प चाहिए, या फिर आपको हाथ पटाने के लिए और चाहिए, या एक माइंडसेट शिफ्ट चाहिए? क्या आपको लगता है ये कॉन्वर्सेशन होनी चाहिए लोगों को घरों के अंदर आज?
बिल्कुल मैम, सबसे पहले तो मैं लोगों को यही बोलूँगी कि अपनी 5 साल की बेटी को भी शमशान भेजो। लड़कियों को वो अधिकार दो कि वो अंतिम संस्कार कर सकें। लड़कियां शारीरिक रूप से कमज़ोर नहीं है, उन्हें मानसिक रूप से मजबूत करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि हमने बचपन से यही सुना है कि भूत होते हैं, लड़कियों को शमशान नहीं जाना चाहिए। उनको उस चीज़ से निकालो और मानसिक रूप से मजबूत करो। और आप हमारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की मदद कर सकते हैं। कफन का कपड़ा, हवन सामग्री, लकड़ियाँ, हमें एम्बुलेंस की ज़रूरत है, एम्बुलेंस में कर सकते हैं। हम लोग इनकी अस्थियों को लेके हर महीने अमावस पे हरिद्वार सती कंकल घाट जाते हैं, तो हमें एक गाड़ी की आवश्यकता है, आप उसमें मदद कर सकते हैं हमारी। आप हमें इस सेवा में ज्वाइन भी कर सकते हैं आके, अगर आप इस सेवा को करना चाहते हैं। और जो भी आपको कोई शव दिखे, कृपया करके हाथ जोड़ के विनती है कि हम इंसान हैं और हमारा कर्तव्य इंसानियत को निभाना है, और इंसानियत के नाते आगे आइए और इन लवारिश शवों को, इन पुण्य आत्माओं को इनका अधिकार दिलाने में मेरी मदद कीजिए।
जी, और ये फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता कि उनका जेंडर क्या है, उनका बैकग्राउंड क्या है, रिलीजन, फेथ क्या है, रिगार्डलेस ऑफ दैट आप उसकी लास्ट राइट उन्हीं के धर्म से
बीइंग अ सनातनी, हमें भगवान ने ये अधिकार नहीं दिया है कि हम किसी के धर्म से छेड़छाड़ करें। मुस्लिम्स की कब्र मैं अपने हाथ से खोदती हूँ, क्रिश्चियनों को मैं अपने हाथ से दफनाती हूँ। मैं किसी में फ़र्क नहीं करती, क्योंकि भगवान ने जब हम में भेदभाव नहीं करा तो हम धर्मों में भेदभाव क्यों करें? जी। और कहते हैं कि एक व्यक्ति ताउम्र किसी भी धर्म के साथ जिया हो, लेकिन मरने के बाद उसका अंतिम संस्कार उसके धर्म के अनुसार ही होना चाहिए।
एंड मुझे ये बताइए पूजा कि जब आप ये नहीं कर रही थी
जी,
तो क्या तो नॉर्मल प्रोसेस में तो मॉग में लोग होते हैं जो ये करते हैं, तो आपको आगे क्यों आना पड़ा? क्या गैप क्या है वहाँ पर?
गैप ऐसा कुछ नहीं है मैम, सिर्फ एक दर्द था कि भाई को खो दिया। अगर शायद घर में नहीं पता लगता लोगों द्वारा कि भाई की डेथ होती है, तो भाई को ऐसे ही लवारिस में जला देते। मतलब वो एक विधि विधान जो होता है, जैसे मंत्रों से अग्नि देना, मुख अग्नि देना, वो गंगा जल देना, तुलसा जी देना, उस तरीके से वो प्रोसेस नहीं हो पाता। क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है कि पुलिस अपना काम बहुत अच्छे से करती है, हमारे भी केस में पुलिस पूरा सहयोग करती है। और सच बताऊं तो दिल्ली पुलिस बहुत अच्छी पुलिस है, दिल्ली एमसीडी बहुत अच्छी है। दिल्ली के अंदर एमसीडी हमें मुफ्त में जो है इलेक्ट्रिक और सीएनजी मशीन प्रोवाइड कराती है, और पुलिस भी हमारा पूरा सहयोग करती है। पुलिस की ही और एमसीडी की सहायता से ही मैं पिछले 3 सालों से इस सेवा को कर पाई हूँ मैम। लेकिन एक धर्म के अनुसार चीज़ों को करना एक प्रणाली में पढ़ के वो पॉसिबल नहीं है, वो इंडिविजुअली कोई इंसान कर सकता है मैम। जी, तो उसमें हमारे जैसे लोगों को तो आगे आना ही पड़ेगा।
या ये जो ब्राइट सोल फाउंडेशन है पूजा, इसमें आप और इसे कैसे बढ़ता हुआ देखना चाह रही हैं? आप क्या अलग इश्यूज़ पे भी आगे बात करना चाह रही हैं, कि आप चाह रही हैं कि ओनली जितने भी मॉर्ग्स हैं कंट्री में, सिर्फ दिल्ली में नहीं बाकी जगह, एक डिग्निटी ऑफ डेथ मिले? क्या एक यही सोल पर्पस है?
मैम फर्स्ट जो हमारा पर्पस है वो यही रहा है, हमारी जो मेजर जो हमारी सेवा रही है वो यही रही है लवारिश शव पर। लेकिन इसके अलावा मेरा छोटा सा वृद्ध आश्रम भी है, और हम जो बच्चे रेड लाइट पर भीख मांगते हैं या झुग्गी झोपड़ियों में रहते हैं, हम उन्हें खाना भी प्रोवाइड कराते हैं। और मेरा जो आने वाला मकसद है, मैं सच बताऊं तो मैं चाहती हूँ इन लवारिश शवों को अधिकार देश के हर कोने में मिलना चाहिए। क्योंकि मैंने 1-2 वीडियोस देखी हैं, मैं उस स्टेट का नाम नहीं लेना चाहूँगी चैनल पे, मैंने देखा वहाँ पर शवों को टायर और पेट्रोल डाल के जला देते हैं। तो मैं चाहती हूँ कि मेरा मैसेज वहाँ तक भी पहुँचे, और इन लवारिश शवों को, क्योंकि एक मनुष्य मरने के बाद भी तो हम उसे मनुष्य ही कहते हैं ना, थोड़ी मरने के बाद हम उसको जानवर की जोनी में डाल देते हैं। मरने के बाद भी हम उसको डेड बॉडी बेशक बोलते हैं, लेकिन है तो इंसानी रूप। तो मरने के बाद क्यों उसके साथ ऐसा अत्याचार करना कि मरने के बाद उसको इस तरीके से फेंक देना? उसको डिग्निटी के साथ ही प्रभु के चरणों तक पहुंचाना चाहिए, और देश के हर कोने तक मैं चाहती हूँ ये सेवा पहुंचे। हर देश में हर देश में और हमारे भारत देश के हर स्टेट में एक पूजा शर्मा खड़ी होनी चाहिए।
That's a lovely note. और ये मैसेज आई होप हमने आपके थ्रू अपने व्यूअर्स तक भी जो पहुंचाया है वो आगे तक जाए। हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए, यहाँ पर आने के लिए बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया
जी, थैंक
So
यू।
that was Pooja Sharma. What an inspiration, what a story of how many barriers she has broken and what all she plans to do next. Well, we leave you with that thought. For the moment, let's take a quick look at what the stock markets are doing. Next, we bring you a special... All right, we bring you a special segment on the financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's start with how the markets are pegged to open this morning. GIFT Nifty indicates a stable opening for the Indian stock markets. Asian markets rise as China's leaders indicate stimulus to revive economy. Now, US markets closed lower on Monday as shares of technology companies fell. Gold and crude oil prices are steady in Tuesday morning trade. Let's look at the sector in focus this morning. The market for snacks and savories is seeing a shift from unbranded to branded products. Now, the key success factor here for larger players, in addition to brand recall, is their huge distribution reach. Now, they are also expanding the export markets and entering the QSR, that's the quick service restaurant market, to grow revenues. However, raw material inflation remains a headwind wanting for investor attention as well. But you can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the branded food industry and various other actionable insights on the markets. It is a premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control. All right, with that, we're going to call this edition of TBC to a close. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Until then, keep watching us on various social media platforms and do leave us with your feedback. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's right. Israeli troops have been going into the Syrian buffer zone on the other side of this border fence right here. This is the line that separates the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights and Syrian territory. There is a buffer zone of about 2 kilometers where Israeli troops have not been positioned for more than 50 years. But now Israeli troops are inside that buffer zone, and we're also told, according to the Israeli Defense Ministry, that Israeli troops have also captured positions beyond that buffer zone as well in Syrian-held territory. You can see my cameraman John is now zooming in on a building here where moments ago we just saw some Israeli troops who were positioned inside that buffer zone. And then if he whips back around over here, this gate that is over here is where we have seen Israeli military vehicles have gone back and forth throughout the day. Yesterday was the first day that Israeli troops began going into this buffer zone after the Israeli Prime Minister